Hey everyone, how are you? My name is Jenn Clevenger. I'm here today from Etsy. So let's get started. Today I'm going to talk about making big data accessible, but not too accessible. So we'll figure out what that means in a little bit. So to start, let's get right in it. An introduction. For those of you that are not familiar with Etsy, we are an online marketplace that allows buyers and sellers to exchange their unique and handcrafted goods. So we've been in business for about 10 or 11 years to date, and our mission has changed somewhat since then. So today our mission is to reimagine commerce in ways that build a more fulfilling and lasting life. So what does that mean? Let's step through it a little bit. So we still do the handmade marketplace thing. So you can still come and do all of the things that you used to do, but in addition to that, we care about fostering a community of buyers and sellers, people who have similar values, people who care about things like, for example, being a certified B Corp, right? We care about social good, we care about doing the right thing by each other, we care about fostering a good environment for creative entrepreneurs. We value craftsmanship in all we do. We care about making the world a better place generally. Isn't that nice? And most relevant to me and probably to people in this audience is we have a very, very strong engineering culture. So if any of you are familiar with our blog, this is our Code is Craft engineering blog here at Etsy. Push. Push. There we go. So this is me. I am Jenn Clevenger. I Googled myself. One of these people is me. I will let you figure out which one it is. I joined Etsy. Oh, is my mic being weird? Do you want me to turn it off?
You're fine. Just
it's fine. Okay. Is this better? A better experience for you guys? So one of these people is me. I joined Etsy a little over a year ago to help manage part of the data engineering organization. So my team is in charge of all the reporting data, everything that sits in our big data warehouse, which is Vertica. And at a super high level, our team's job is to make sure that our data is easy to access, simple to understand, reliable, available, et cetera, you know, all those things, all those good things that big data should be. So let's get into the meat of this talk. Making big data accessible, but not too accessible. So let me start with a story, if you will. A little bit over a year ago, so in April 2015, I believe it is, Etsy went public. Hooray, cause for great celebration. But with great power comes great responsibility. So with this new responsibility came a great number of challenges. So today I picked 3 challenges that we're going to talk about today as they are relevant from a data perspective. One of them, we needed to make sure that we are protecting our people from insider trading allegations. Number 2, we needed to make sure that we're protecting our customers' personal information, so emails, phone numbers, names, addresses, etc. And number 3, we needed to protect investors from falsified financially material reporting caused by malicious data manipulation. So we'll get to all of these things in a little bit. I'm not saying that we didn't care about these things before. We did, we absolutely did. But now we needed to care about them out loud and publicly, and we needed to show our homework. So it's a whole different set of challenges. Needless to say, these are all very difficult data problems. So let's do a 2-in-1 because I only have 20 minutes. So I'm going to knock the first 2 out super quick. Protect our people from insider trading allegations and protect customers' identities and personal information. The implementation for these 2 things is similar but not identical. So let's step through them. Let's get a baseline. What does this mean? So protecting our people from insider trading allegations, that basically means that we need to make sure that we are not exposing Etsy employees to material non-public information. So that's KPIs of the company, revenue, etc. And we also needed to make sure that we were not exposing them to other people's personally identifiable information. So we need to protect people's information, the customers. So why was this hard to think about? It turns out sensitive data is everywhere. Here's just some pretend mock-up of what our data looks like. And as you can see in our pretend mock-up, you know, the sensitive data, it's everywhere. It's in every single table. It's just in our tables, our views, our roll-ups, data marts, dashboards, reports, everywhere. So locking it down would have meant what? It would have made it impossible for anyone to access this data and do things like, I don't know, measure the impact of their work or even do their jobs, like people in members and operations who need to reach out to people, or people who are in customer service who need to have people's personally identifiable information, et cetera. Not to mention all of the analysts, the data scientists, you guys get it, this is the crowd for this. So what's the point of having all this great data if you can't use it? So what do we do? How do we meet this challenge? So for the first challenge, number one, the revenue KPI data, we basically came up with this bucketing scheme. So we created 4 buckets, and we said each bucket is going to represent a different subset of sensitive data, going from a low subset, i.e. 0, up to the highest subset. So in bucket 4, you can see we put all of the tables and all of the people that didn't need any sensitive data at all. Then in bucket 3, the next level up, if you want to call it that, it has like all of the tables that have some KPI data, and then we put the people in there who are allowed to access that. It kind of works like a waterfall, so everyone in bucket 3 can see bucket 4, everyone in bucket 2 can see bucket 3 and 4, etc. So bucket 2 is KPIs and some revenue, and bucket 1 is KPIs and all revenue. On the PII side, what do we do? This was a little bit trickier because we needed to implement column-level data access restrictions just because of the granularity of the PII data that we are trying to mask. So there's email, there's name, there's phone number, there's address. There are 10 of them, 10 things that we needed to track. So we did this through a system of views and case statements. So basically we slapped a view on top of every table that had any type of PII in it, and we permissioned every column based on the roles that you had. So if you queried the table and had a particular type of role, you could maybe see email address, but not phone number and address, etc. So why was this hard to do? From an implementation, navigating this enormous change from a cultural perspective was really difficult. People just kind of expected to have access to this data. I mean, they always had before now. So you can imagine, this data for everyone cry. We've been hearing it today. Everyone kind of is in this mode where everyone should have access to the data. So this was very common and very popular. So communicating to people that now you can't have access to the data, and maybe not you either, but you can. This was a really, really big challenge. This was difficult. Never mind revoking. So like taking access away from people, that was really hard too. This whole thing was super painful. So from an implementations perspective, why was this hard to do, right? So let's think about it. We needed to go through every single table to figure out which bucket it went into. And same with all of the users. Everyone at Etsy, they needed to go into buckets. So even just to seed this solution was hard. Then we needed to put a plan in place to say, going forward, how are we going to make sure that we are maintaining this, right? Like new people that join the company, how do we know which bucket they go into? When people create new tables, people create them all the time. They don't always tell us. Like, we have to make sure that we're catching these things and putting them in buckets and buckets and buckets. On top of that, you need a way to manage the drift. So this is a problem too, right? Like, it turns out that the data structures anywhere, at least, so that's either not static, right? So they're changing all the time. Permissions are dropping off, people are dropping and recreating their tables, things happen. So how do you make sure that the thing that you put together in the beginning is still the thing the next day or in a month, et cetera? You needed to manage the drift. So this was hard too. These were all things that we needed to think about while we were building this system. So did we win? Did we do a good job? Hells yeah. We implemented a solution, and it reached 2 very, very good conclusions for us, right? One, we were able to lock down all the publicly non-public material, financial information, non-public information, and we still allowed people to have the access that they needed in order to do their job. So that was really important to us. Balancing those 2 things were really, really hard.